Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. In this video guys, I'm going to be showing you how to make this shoulder bag. Look at it. I'll give you a close up. This is how it's looking when you put it on, and it works out so quickly. You can finish it in at least an hour or less depending on how fast you crochet, but this is what we're working with. I love it. So let's get on with the tutorial. What you need for this tutorial is weight for yarn. I'm going to need scissors, 5.5mm hook, and a darning needle. To begin, what you're going to do is you're going to get the ends of your yarn and you're going to connect them together and make a slip stitch. So I've got the two ends together. This is it here. I'm going to make a slip stitch using both the yarn. There you go. That's the slip stitch that we made. Now to begin, what we're going to do is we're going to chain 31 chains. Yarn over, pull through one loop, that's one chain. 2, 3, finish chaining 31. Now I don't know the name of the actual stitch, what it's called, but we're going to be alternating between single crochets and double crochets. I'll show you guys what I mean. So we're going to skip this first chain here and we're going to go into the second one from the hook and we're going to make a single crochet. To make a single crochet, you insert your hook in the loop, yarn over, pull up one loop, then yarn over with the last two loops. That's the first single crochet. Next we're going to make a double crochet. So yarn over, insert your hook, 3 on the hook, then we're going to yarn over, pull up one loop, we still have 3, 1, 2, 3, then we're going to yarn over, pull through 2, and then yarn over, pull through 2 again. And what you're going to do is you're going to keep on alternating between single crochets and double crochets all the way until the end, and I'll meet you guys whenever you finish. So next one will be single crochet, then double crochet, and just keep alternating like I said all the way until the end. I'm currently now doing the last stitch, which is a double crochet, so I'm going to be finishing that off. Finished off. Then I'm going to make another single crochet inside this same loop here that we just did the double crochet. So we're making an increase. Then I'm going to do another double crochet in that same loop. So you continue the sequence, but instead of you doing it in different stitches, you're now doing it in the same stitch. There we are. Next we're going to turn our work, so now we're going to work on the bottom of our work itself. So we just finished with a double crochet stitch, so the next stitch that we're going to be doing would be a single crochet. So you insert, then I'll bring the tail with me so you don't have to worry about weaving it in when you're finished. And you do a single crochet, and you can always use a stitch marker to mark the third stitch that we just did, which would have been a single crochet. So you can mark here if you'd like. So this is the one stitch here, the double crochet, and then this is the single crochet stitch that I'm marking. Sorry guys if you can hear outside noise. I'm just making this tutorial by the window. Just did the single crochet stitch. Now we're going to do double crochet in the next stitch. Then like I said, like we did for the top part of this bag, we're going to be continue to alternate double crochet and single crochet all the way until you reach the end, and then I'll meet you guys once you finish so you can know the next step. The last stitch that I'm doing is a single crochet, so I'm going to do a single crochet to finish off. Now that we finished that part, I'm going to slip stitch into this first single crochet that we did. So you insert your hook, yarn over, pull through one, and then pull through the last 2. So we just made that row there. Now we're going to make row 2. Whatever stitch that you ended with is the opposite stitch that you're going to start the next row with. I'll show you what I mean. So since we started off with a single crochet as the first stitch that we did, we're going to chain 2 because the next stitch that we're going to be doing to start row 2 is a double crochet stitch. Any stitch that you do, the stitch on top of it is going to be the opposite stitch. So like I said, we started with a single crochet stitch, so the stitch that we're going to start row 2 is now a double crochet. So you do the opposite of what you ended with, what you started with. So as you can see, the stitch that we did here was single crochet, so I'm going to do a double crochet on top of that one. And what we're going to do is we're going to keep on alternating between single crochets and double crochets, to be honest. That's really the main part of the bag. And then I'll meet you guys when you get to the stitch marker so I can show you what it is that you would need to do. I've now reached the stitch marker, so I'm going to remove the stitch marker. And the last stitch that I just did was a single crochet, so I'm going to start this off with a double crochet inside the same loop that we just removed the stitch marker. Then I'm going to make a single crochet in the same loop again, and then a double crochet in the last one once again. and I'm gonna put my stitch marker back in the single crochet space. There we are. So the second stitch inside the loop, which is a single crochet, that's what we're gonna do. Then keep on making the same thing all the way around, like I said, alternating between double crochets and single crochets. Just finished the last stitch, which for me was a double crochet. So now I'm going to insert my hook into the first stitch, then I'm going to yarn over, put the 2, and then that's it. We just finished row 2 of the bag. Now guys, for the rest of the bag, what you're gonna do is you're gonna keep on making single crochets and double crochets all the way around until you have 15 rows. And without the increase here, that's what you're gonna do. So you're gonna remove the stitch marker when you get to this side, and you're just gonna keep on making single crochets and double crochets all the way until you have 15 rows. This is row 2, so we've done two rows so far. When you get to row 15, I'll show you guys how it is that you can count whichever rows you are, so you know exactly where you are. So I'll show you guys how to do row 3, so you know exactly what I mean. So like I said, we started this second row with a double crochet, so now we're going to start row 3 with a single crochet. So we're going to chain 1. You can keep on alternating, like I said. And to know how many you chain is, if I start with a single crochet stitch for the row that I'm going to do, then I would chain 1. But if I start with a double crochet, then I would chain 2. So keep on working. So I'm coming up to where the stitch marker is, and I'll show you guys what I meant when I said you remove the stitch marker. So you remove it first, then I'm going to make double crochet. We're going to make a single crochet, but we're not going to make it in the same stitch this time. We're going to move on around with no increases. So we're going to be single crochet, then double crochet, and then like I said guys, keep alternating all the way until you have 15 more rows, and then I'll meet you guys once we get there. I've once again reached the end, so I just made a single crochet, just made a double crochet here. So now I'm going to slip stitch to connect. So we just finished with row 3, and how you can see the rows, it may be a bit hard to kind of calculate where the rows are, but let me zoom in for a second. Just count how many double crochets there are in each line, right? So there's 1 here, that's 1 row, 2 here, that'll be the second row, 3 here, that'll be the third row. I don't know if you guys can see exactly what I mean, but I'll do a few more rows and then I'll show you guys exactly what I mean. So we're going to keep on working that up until you have 15 rows in total. Alright guys, so I'll show you what I mean when I said in terms of how many rows I should do. So I'm currently on row 9, and I'll show you why I know exactly what row I'm on. So this is the first row we started here. You can see the holes here is bigger than the holes here, right? I'll zoom in. We have row 1 here, we have row 2, row 3, row 4, row 5, row 6, row 7, row 8, and I'm currently on row 9. I'm not really sure exactly how to explain that I know the rows. To be honest, you can kind of see where each row would be in terms of where the shadow is. So if you use a black yarn, it will obviously be harder for you to find out where each row is, but that's how I know how much I'm doing. And guys, I'm so sorry, but it was meant to be 14 rows that you're meant to do in total rather than 15. So yeah, I'm on row 9 now. Okay, so now that I've finished 14 rows, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 rows finished. Now to end off, I'm going to chain 1, and I'm going to get my scissors and I'm going to cut the yarn. That's it, finished. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you guys how you cinch the sides in. However, you can just leave it like this if that's what you'd like, but I'm showing you guys how I cinch the sides in because that's how I'd make my bags. What you're going to do is you're going to take your darning needle and you're going to darn in the yarn inside the needle, but you're going to do it double stranded rather than single stranded. You're going to get your bag that you currently have, and what you're going to do is you're going to fold the sides as far as you'd want it. So for example, you might want your bag to go all the way in like this, or you might want your bag to go just a little bit where the side is cinched, but I'm going to fold mine just a small bit so I can have it just a small triangle going up like that. So this is how I want mine to be. Then you're gonna get the darning needle, like I said. Ensure that you cut it from the yarn. So this is what we have working with. And to grab your needle, then you're going to insert it in the back here, ensuring that it goes through all the way to the end. Pull it through, just like this. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a knot so that it doesn't pull out as I darn the ends in. Now we're just going to keep on sewing it up. So we're sewing this up just this small bit here so that we can have it closed. So I'm going to go inside the back, in the middle, and then through the front again. So you're going to keep on doing it all the way until you're satisfied with how tight it is. So I'd usually go over more than once so that I ensure that it is sewed up properly and nothing is left. It doesn't really matter if it's perfect either, you just need to sew up the edges. Make a double knot. Now for the last stitch here, what I'm going to do is I won't pull it all the way through. I'll leave this loop here, then I'm going to insert inside the loop, then I'm going to pull everything to kind of make like a slip knot to finish off what we just did. This is the side finished. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut the yarn but leaving a bit of a tail so that we can darn it in when we're finished. Next, what you're going to do is you're going to repeat the same steps on this side by cinching it in here and then sewing it up together however you want it to be so that it matches the other side. So I just finished sewing up the sides. So this is one side finished, this is one side finished. You can see here it's cinched together, cinched together. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you guys how you attach the straps. First, you start by making a slip knot here and then you attach it to the hook. Next, what we're going to do is you're going to find a stitch that's the easiest to go in. So this one is here for me. Then what I'm going to do is we're going to make a single crochet all the way around until you reach back to the end. So you insert your hook, pull up one loop, and I usually bring the tail with me. However, I can just darn it in at the end, so it shouldn't really matter, but I'll bring this one in anyway to make it easier for myself. We're going to make single crochets all the way around until you reach right at the end. So when you get to the side that you've cinched, it may be a bit harder for you to make the single crochet, but what you're going to do is you're going to try and find a stitch that you can go into and just keep on making single crochets. And for this row, guys, it doesn't even need to be perfect. So here, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make one single crochet inside, keep on making single crochets. I'm going to make one in this gap here. There we go, we got it. So I'm just going to keep on making single crochets all the way around. I'm bringing my tails with me so I don't have to darn them in at the end, but you can always darn them in afterwards. I've now reached the end, as you can see here. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to slip stitch to connect everything, the first row, the single crochet row that we just did. We're going to chain one and we're going to cut our yarn once again. That's the base of what we're going to crochet, so it makes the straps easier when it comes to attaching them. So I'll show you guys how we actually do the straps now. So what you're going to do is you're going to find the middle stitch, which is here for me. This is my middle stitch here, and I'm going to count 2 more stitches to the right. 1, 2. I'm going to insert my hook here because I can't find my other stitch marker, so that's where we're going to go. And then for this side we're going to do the same thing, but I'm going to add a stitch marker since I have one here. So we're going to find the middle stitch, then we're going to count 2 to the right, 1, 2, and that's where I'm going to mark my stitch. With this side now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the yarn, make a slip knot, attach it to our hook. Then, like I said, you find the middle stitch and you're going to count 2 to the right, 1, 2. We're going to insert our hook and we're going to make 1 single crochet, and we're going to make a double crochet in the next stitch. We are then going to make a single crochet in the stitch after that one. Then we're going to make a double crochet again, and finally we're going to end with a single crochet. Next, what we're going to do is alternate single crochets and double crochets once again like we did for the body, but this time we're going to keep on working up all the way until we have the length of what we want for our straps. So I just ended the first row with single crochet, so I'm going to start the next row with double crochet. I'm going to chain 2, 1, 2, turn my work, then I'm going to make a double crochet in this first chain 2 space here. Then I'm going to make a single crochet, then double crochet again, then single crochet, and then we're going to end with a double crochet. For the third row, what we're going to do is we're going to chain 1 because the next stitch that we start this row with is a single crochet. We're going to turn our work, single crochet, double crochet, single crochet, double crochet, and single crochet once again. So yeah guys, like I said, you're going to keep on working that up all the way until you have the length of the chain that you need. I'm not sure exactly how many rows I do, but I'll tell you guys whenever I do it so you know exactly what I'm doing, and it will just make it easier as well. So yeah guys, you're going to keep on working that up until you have the desired length that you want for your bag. I just finished and I did 34 rows in total for the straps, as you can see here. You can also just do like this to see how it looks, to see if you like it or if you want it longer or shorter, but this is how I'm gonna make mine. What I'm gonna do is we're going to chain 1, then we're going to cut our yarn, That's it there. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna attach it to the other side. So first you turn your work inside out, and where you have your stitch marker here, you're going to count 4 stitches, and then you're going to insert a hook there. So this is where we mark our stitch marker here, and I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4. So here is where I'm going to insert my hook. So we're going to make a slip knot again with our yarn, and I'm going to insert it inside this loop here. So attach it to my hook. Then like I said, you count 4 stitches away from the stitch marker. Stitch marker is here. So then we're going to do 1, 2, 3, 4. Then what I'm going to do is we're going to get the tail, and we're going to slip stitch everything together. Insert. So we're going to yarn over and pull through all the loops. Keep on doing that. So insert your hook in the other side, yarn over and pull through both loops. So we keep on doing that all the way until we reach our stitch marker. Then we're going to chain 1, and we're going to cut our yarn. Pull to tighten. This is what we have now. Next, what you're going to do is you're going to darn in all your ends and then turn it inside out. So you darn in your ends before you turn it inside out. This is the end product. This is what you should have when you're finished with your bag. So I'll show you guys what it looks like on once again. This is it, and you can line the bag inside with cloth if you want, with fabric, so that it can be much firmer and so that it doesn't stretch as much as how regular yarn would be, because after a while when you use a crochet bag, it kind of stretches after a while. So I'd recommend you line it, but you don't have to if you don't want to. And I just want to say one more thing, guys. Step out. You know that thing or that person that you've been wanting to speak to them. That thing that you've wanted to do it. Why wait? What are you waiting for? Time is something that never comes back, and it's never promised either, so use it while you can, right? So I'll see you guys in the next video. Hope you enjoyed the tutorial. Let me know as well in the comments what other tutorials you'd like, and you can add me on Instagram with my Instagram here, so you can show me exactly what it is that you're making. I might sell this on my Etsy, I'm not sure, but these bags are on my Etsy. These are on my Etsy. These are all the same bag that I have on my shoulder, but this is a set that I did. It's called the New Era set, sorry, and you can also shop it on my Etsy if you like. I'll put this link in the description. But yeah, guys, that's it. Yeah, see you guys in the next video. I love you. Jesus loves you very, very much more. Bye bye.